The corridor was quiet. Too quiet. Lieutenant Rylan Voss moved through the dimly lit halls of the ardent horizon, his boots echoing softly against the metallic floor. The ship, a stealth frigate of the United Terran Coalition, hummed faintly as it cut through the void near the Zenari cluster. He had seen combat before, but this mission was unlike anything he had ever faced. Ryland's eyes were fixed on the communications console ahead, where reports of unusual activity around the Zenari homeworld were streaming in. Intelligence had intercepted whispers of a coup against the Zenari Queen, an event that could ignite a galaxy-wide war. Yet, Ryland's orders were clear. Protect the Queen at all costs, no matter the political ramifications. He tightened his grip on his plasma rifle, feeling the familiar weight grounding him. The corridors twisted like the veins of some metallic leviathan, dark corners hiding threats that could emerge in an instant. Rylan had been briefed on the alien culture, highly intelligent, biologically telepathic, and politically intricate. They were a proud race, and their queen, Lariah, was not just a figurehead but a living nexus of their societal cohesion. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Rylan froze. From the shadows, a squad of mercenaries erupted, their armor shimmering with adaptive camouflage. They were fast, trained, and ruthless. His first instinct was to raise his weapon, but a sudden pulse of energy hit the wall, throwing him off balance. "They're here for the Queen," he whispered to himself. Rylan sprinted down the corridor, dodging energy blasts that sizzled past him. The ardent horizon shuddered as if it shared his alarm. Every step felt heavier, the stakes higher. Somewhere in the distance, a voice cried out, a signal from the Queen's chambers. He had to get there. When he reached the doors, the scene that greeted him was chaos incarnate. The Queen, luminous with her bioluminescent markings, was surrounded by 3 heavily armed attackers. Her royal guard lay incapacitated, energy spears shattered on the floor. Rylan didn't hesitate. He opened fire, his plasma rounds arcing through the air with deadly precision. 2 of the attackers fell instantly, but the third was faster, dodging skillfully and returning fire. Rylan dove, rolling across the floor, his heart pounding. Then he saw her. The Queen's gaze locked onto his, a silent plea cutting through the chaos. She was calm, regal, but vulnerability flickered in her eyes. Rylan charged. Time slowed as he tackled the third assailant, disarming him in a brutal flurry. But in that instant, a sharp pain exploded in his side. The attacker's concealed railgun had fired. Rylan felt the bullet tear through his armor and lodge in his chest. He gasped, collapsing against the metallic floor. The world blurred. Lariah's hands reached out, telepathically linking to him. A wave of alien empathy washed over Rylan. Warmth, fear, and determination. "Stay with me," she thought. Her voice was not spoken but felt, echoing in the deepest recesses of his mind. Rylan's vision dimmed. He could see fragments of the future, the potential disasters if she fell. Entire star systems teetering on the brink. Somehow, he had to survive. Somehow, he had to hold her. The remaining attackers, seeing their chance slipping away, tried to retreat, but Rylan, through sheer willpower and adrenaline, fired his last plasma round, striking one and forcing the other to vanish into the shadows. The Queen's telepathic pulse surged again, stabilizing him just enough for him to drag himself to her side. The medics arrived moments later, but Rylan had already collapsed into unconsciousness. In the medical bay, they worked tirelessly, their alien technology interfacing with his human physiology. The bullet was removed, the damage contained, but the doctors warned that the trauma would leave him weakened for months. When he awoke, it was not in a hospital bed he recognized, but in a chamber adorned with luminous flora, pulsating with life. The queen hovered above him, her bioluminescence bathing the room in soft, shimmering light. "You survived," she whispered, her voice soft yet commanding. "You saved me and the galaxy." Rylan struggled to sit up. "It was nothing," he rasped. But he could feel the subtle shift. His mind was different. The telepathic link they had shared had not fully severed. He could hear her emotions: joy, fear, sorrow, determination. In the days that followed, Rylan learned more about the Zanari civilization than he had ever imagined. Their technology was centuries ahead, their culture intricate and deeply rooted in collective consciousness. And through it all, the Queen and he remained connected, sharing thoughts, dreams, and strategies. News came of the failed coup. The Zanari Council had been destabilized, yet they had avoided full-blown war thanks to the intervention of the United Terran Coalition. Rylan was hailed as a hero, but the accolades meant little. He had glimpsed the fragility of life on a galactic scale, and he understood that his role was no longer just a soldier. It was a bridge between species, a guardian of harmony. Weeks turned into months. Rylan trained with the Queen's elite forces, learning their tactics, their philosophy, and their deep understanding of the universe's energies. He discovered that the Zanari could manipulate quantum fields, bending reality in subtle ways. This knowledge was crucial, for threats were never-ending. One evening, standing on a balcony overlooking the bioluminescent city of Laraya's homeworld, Rylan reflected on everything that had happened. "I never thought saving someone would change the galaxy," he admitted aloud. The Queen turned to him, her gaze steady. "It was never just saving me. It was understanding what it means to protect life, to stand for something greater than oneself. You have crossed a threshold, Rylan. Humanity and Zanari must now work together, or both will fall to the darkness lurking beyond our stars." Rylan nodded. He could feel it, the weight of responsibility, yes, but also the spark of possibility. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for unity, for hope, for a future that spanned species and star systems. But the galaxy has a way of testing heroes. Just as he began to adapt to this new reality, reports arrived. A rogue faction had begun attacking Terran colonies near the Andrus Expanse. Their weapons were unlike anything seen before, devastating and precise. The Zanari forces, guided by Rylan and Laraya, mobilized quickly. During the first engagement, Rylan found himself at the forefront. His experience as a human soldier complemented the Queen's strategic brilliance. Together, they orchestrated maneuvers that no single species could have achieved alone. Ships moved in synchronized patterns, energy shields fluctuated with calculated precision, and the enemy's offensive was systematically dismantled. Yet, victory came at a cost. Several Zanari warriors fell, and Rylan's human comrades suffered casualties. The Queen's empathy reached out, touching each survivor, sharing grief and hope simultaneously. It was overwhelming, but Rylan remained steadfast, learning to harness the bond he had with her to bolster the morale of both species. Months passed, and peace seemed attainable, but a shadow loomed. Deep within the void, an ancient intelligence stirred, one that predated both human and Zanari civilizations. Whispers of its awakening reached the Queen through her psychic network. It was intelligent, adaptive, and entirely indifferent to life. "You felt it too, didn't you?" Laraya asked, placing a hand on his shoulder, the warmth of her skin, or whatever was analogous in her species, grounding him. Rylan nodded. "I've never known fear like this. It's vast, limitless." "We must prepare," she said. "And we will, together." Together. The word resonated through him. For the first time, he truly understood the significance of the bullet that had once pierced his chest. That act of courage had forged a link between two species that might very well save the galaxy from extinction. They began building alliances, combining human innovation with Zanari intuition. Colonies were fortified, ships upgraded with hybrid technology, and intelligence networks expanded to anticipate threats before they emerged. Rylan, once a mere soldier, became a liaison, a diplomat, and a strategist. His actions now shaped galactic politics as much as any battle. The defining moment came unexpectedly. The ancient intelligence, a dark mass of nanites and psychic tendrils known only as the Shadari, emerged near the outer rim. Their objective was inscrutable, but their path of destruction was clear. Entire fleets were obliterated within hours. Panic spread through human and Zanari ranks alike. Rylan and Lariah coordinated the defense, drawing on every resource at their disposal. In the heart of the conflict, Rylan realized what had to be done. He volunteered for a mission to infiltrate the Shadari hive mind core, a suicidal endeavor by Terran standards. Lariah protested, but he was resolute. "You once saved me," she said, voice trembling. "Let me save you now." "I can't stop now," Rylan replied. "This is bigger than either of us." The infiltration was a blur of light and sound. Rylan moved through corridors of shifting matter, dodging tendrils of nanites that could erase both body and mind. The bond with the Queen guided him, her thoughts illuminating paths through the chaos. Finally, he reached the core and, using a combination of Zanari energy manipulation and human ingenuity, triggered a containment field that neutralized the Shadari threat. He emerged, battered but alive. The galaxy was spared, thanks to a human who once took a bullet for an alien queen. In the aftermath, Rylan and Lariah stood together on the steps of the Interstellar Council Hall. Representatives of countless species watched as the Queen of the Zanari and her human champion addressed them. "Unity," Lariah spoke, her voice resonant across the chamber, "is our greatest weapon. Let no hatred, no fear, no ambition divide us again." Rylan stepped forward, his hand resting on the Queen's, the symbol of an unbreakable bond. "We have seen what chaos brings," he said, "and we know what cooperation can achieve. Let this moment be remembered, not for the battles we fought, but for the future we now build." Applause echoed through the hall, the sound reverberating across the council chambers and into space itself. Rylan knew that his life had changed irrevocably. He had crossed the threshold from soldier to guardian, from human to bridge between worlds. And though threats would continue to arise, he and the Queen were ready. Together, they had proven that courage, empathy, and sacrifice could alter the course of a galaxy. As the twin suns of the Zanari homeworld set, casting brilliant colors across the sky, Rylan reflected on the journey that had brought him here. A bullet had once pierced his chest, nearly ending his life. Yet, in that moment of vulnerability, he had forged a connection that reshaped civilizations, a bond that would endure as long as the stars themselves. He looked to Lariah, her eyes shimmering with luminescent grace, and felt the quiet certainty that the galaxy had changed forever. Not because of war, not because of conquest, but because of the courage to act when it mattered most. And in that courage, Rylan knew, lay the future. As the twin suns of the Zanari homeworld dipped below the horizon, the bioluminescent city below came alive in a cascade of colors, painting the night sky with light and life. Rylan stood beside Lariah on the balcony of the Interstellar Council Hall, feeling the weight of everything they had endured. He could still feel the echo of the bullet that once tore through him, a constant reminder of the choice that had set everything in motion. All of this, he said quietly, it never would have happened if I hadn't made that one split-second decision. Laria's luminescent markings pulsed gently, the Zenari equivalent of a soft, approving smile. And yet, it was more than a decision, it was courage. Courage has a ripple effect, Rylan. One act can change the path of entire civilizations. Behind them, representatives of dozens of species celebrated the establishment of the first interstellar alliance that truly bridged worlds. Terran engineers were collaborating with Zenari quantum physicists. Diplomats from dozens of planets negotiated trade, peace treaties, and exploration initiatives. The galaxy had become a network of cooperation, something Rylan had never thought possible during his early years as a soldier. But Rylan knew this peace was fragile. Shadows always lingered at the edges of the stars, waiting for weakness. And yet, the bond he shared with Laria, born in the crucible of violence, nurtured through empathy and telepathy, gave him hope. They had faced death, betrayal, and an intelligence beyond comprehension, and they had emerged victorious. Together, they were stronger than any force that threatened the galaxy. Laria extended her hand. "You have changed me, Rylan, and I have changed you. Humanity and Zenari together, we are no longer just survivors. We are architects of our own destiny." Rylan took her hand, feeling a connection that went beyond words. "Then we keep building. For everyone who depends on us, for everyone who believes in something greater." The council hall erupted in celebration, the lights and sounds blending into a symphony of hope. Outside, in orbit, ships from multiple species formed a glittering array, the first true demonstration of interstellar unity. As night fully fell, the two of them stood in silence, watching the stars twinkle. Somewhere out there, threats would rise again, but for now, the galaxy breathed easier. The tale of a human who once took a bullet for an alien queen would be remembered for generations, not as a story of war, but as a story of courage, empathy, and unity. And in that quiet moment, Rylan felt a profound truth. Sometimes, the smallest act, an instinct to protect, a refusal to stand aside, could create ripples that changed the fate of billions. The galaxy had been forever altered by that single choice, and as long as he and Laria stood together, the future held infinite possibilities. He exhaled, feeling at peace for the first time in years. The galaxy was safe. The Queen was safe. And together, they would ensure that hope endured among the stars. With a final glance at the glowing horizon, Rylan knew one thing with certainty. The bullet that nearly ended his life had instead begun a story that would echo through the cosmos for eons. And he was ready for whatever came next, side by side with the alien queen.